thank you for joining this session. We are very happy to tell you a little today about how you can use your ERP system with Power Platform and Adaptive Cards. First of all, thank you to our sponsors, Microsoft, Upzoids, and Fellowmind, the reason that we can be here today, and also to the organizers, Alan, Anders, Martin, and Jens. It's a huge work, and thank you for doing this. With you today, we are 3 people here. My name is Lone. I'm a finance consultant. I worked 20 years in finance. Then I moved to the other side, where I worked internally at Vestas Offshore in Denmark. Also worked for Microsoft, mostly with customers in Denmark and Germany, and now working for Arineo here in Denmark, Germany, and Austria. And with me, I have 2 former colleagues. Jonas, I met when I started at a partner here in Denmark. He was my buddy, which turned out to be a lifetime job. Jonas is a developer. He might look young to you, but he actually has 14 years of developing experience. Jonas has been working for different partners and customers in Denmark and also for Microsoft, and now decided to elope to Finland, where he is working for the Nordic Investment Bank. With me also with us also is William. He might look even younger. He started working with Jonas and me with the age of 17, and we quickly adopted him. William was a quick learner. At the age of 19, he was leading a migration for a customer moving from AX12 to D365. William still works at the same partner, which is Fellowmind, and I think he must be the only 22-year-old to have 5 years of experience in developing D365 finance and supply chain, and also mastering the Power Platform. So all in all, if the boat was sinking or the ERP system going down, those are the guys I want to have here. And because we love working with users, we thought that it could be really fun to role play a little today. Jonas will be our customer. He might also jump in with some development. He's kind of our all-around man, I think we decided to call him. And William is our code guru and our technical wizard here. So let's move on to the real reason we are here. Jonas is our lazy customer over there in Finland, and he came to me with a challenge. Jonas, do you want to explain to the audience about your challenge?
Yes, of course. We recently switched to an ERP system based on D360 Finance, and I'm still getting used to my processes. I find it challenging to navigate the system. It requires a lot of clicks and switching between different screens. Since I'm on the move without my laptop, I sometimes forget to approve timesheets, which understandably frustrates my colleagues quite a lot. In most cases, my approvals are just quick reviews to confirm the timesheets are related to something I already discussed with my team, like work related to one of my projects. So I was wondering, is it possible to build a simple, easy-to-use solution that allows me to approve timesheets quickly and efficiently while on the move?
Yes, I think I actually do have something in mind to bring the ERP system a little closer to you. And I think it's fair enough that you don't always want to open the ERP system. I was thinking about different solutions, but it seems that you really like to work in Teams, Jonas. And I was thinking if we could help you with the adaptive cards in Teams. To make sure, I will just talk to my technical wizard, and then I will get back to you.
Sounds good.
Good. So William, you know how lazy Jonas is, right? He's saying he does not want to go into the ERP system to approve timesheets or expense management reports. Do you think we can solve that with adaptive cards in Teams? Because he really likes to work in Teams. And what can we actually do with the adaptive cards? Can they just show something, or can you also add actions like approve or reject or something similar?
Yeah, definitely. Earlier this year, I made an approval app for invoices for a customer where they can approve or reject the invoice and add a comment. So yeah, it's definitely possible.
Okay, that's really nice. What do you need from me, and how do we trigger to send an adaptive card into the system?
Yeah, so basically we need a trigger point. It can be a business event or it can be a recurrence. And then I need the name of the data entities to extract the data.
Okay, good. I will try to look into that. So when I looked in the system for the expense approval, the first thing I found was the business event. So William explained to me that the business event here I can find it's related to the workflow. My expense management workflow had the number 000091, and I found it in the business events here. So that's the trigger William needs. Then I have the data entity here, which was the expenses, and I found the different target fields in the entity. For the project timesheet, it was the same. I found the business event also with a number from the workflow. Then I found the data entities. There's a timesheet header and timesheet lines, depending on what information you want to have in. And then I found the information that we needed to have on the approval. So before we move on to William, who will show us how he did it, let me just try to submit a timesheet so we can see real life how this is going to work. I have a timesheet here that I have prepared. It is in draft, as you can see. I will say workflow, and I will say admit, and then I will just submit it. I, on the other tab here, have an expense report, also in draft. Here I have to go into the expense report. I take a little to open up, and I will just submit it from here. So this was just for Jonas to test it also. William, can you show us what you actually did in the system?
Yeah, of course. I'll just share my screen. Just say when you're able to see my screen.
We can see it now.
Okay, perfect. So I'm a backend developer, so I'm not the best at UI and design and so on. So I found this website that Microsoft provides with some samples of their adaptive card. So I use this for the expense approval in my PowerFlow. So I will show you here. So here I have the approved expense report flow. So basically it triggers from the trigger point that Lone provided me with the workflow ID right here, and then the Dynamics environment. And then I extract the data from Dynamics and pass it into a JSON so I can use it later on in my flow. So here we have the workflow user email, so I know which user to send it to in Teams. So it's down here. You can see this is how you build the adaptive cards with the body and the text block and so on. So down here, you can see I have the reception where it's the workflow user email, so it gets sent to Jonas's user in Teams. And then when Jonas click reject or accept, it runs the workflow in Dynamics as his user, so it has the rights permission and so on. And basically the approved timesheet flow is very much the same. It just triggers on another business event as Lone provided me. Yeah, so that's basically it. And down here you can see we have a little bit more data in the approved timesheet. We have the workflow ID and the requester and the due date. And then you can add a comment here that will get shown in the workflow. And approve and reject, of course.
And just for the audience, William, how much time did you spend on building those two?
When you get used to them, maybe 3 to 4 hours, and you get very far.
Okay, good. That's nice to know.
Yeah, so it's very minimum development. So
yeah. So Jonas, do you have something in your app that you need to approve now?
Hey, now you're mentioning, I actually got a few notifications from Teams. Oh wow, this is cool. So as you can see, what Lone just demonstrated, I now have an approval request for my timesheet. I can see the employee in question, I can see the period, I can see the total hours and so on. And I can see who requested it. And you know what? This is something I've discussed with my colleague here, so it looks fine. And then approve. And then it notifies me that the response has been sent to finance and operations. This also looks fine. This is something I've been discussing with Matt. So let's also approve this. And this is what it looks like from my side.
Good. So let's move on to back to the presentation. I will share my screen again. So how did we do it? I think we already showed that one to you now. We will move on to the next one. Jonas, the system has been tested now. You saw the approval, you showed it to us. Do you have any question for it?
Yeah, I have a few questions. So I kind of mentioned that I'm on the go a lot. Can I also use this if my Wi-Fi connectivity is quite spotty? For example, if I'm using in-flight Wi-Fi.
Yeah, of course, you can use it as long as you're on the Wi-Fi, then you can use the buttons as reject or approve. But you can always see the Adaptive card even if you're offline, sorry. But you can, use any actions in it.
Oh, that's pretty neat. I'm a Mac guy at home. I'm not really into Windows as much, and I only have Outlook installed on my Mac. Is it possible to also approve this using my Mac at home?
Yeah, that would also be possible if we set up the flow to also send an email instead of only a team message.
Oh, so I get kind of the same user interface also by mail?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could set that up.
Oh, this is cool. This is cool. So my last question, since it only took you so little time to do this, how easy is it to add more information?
Yeah, it's actually quite easy if the information is available in Dynamics and it has an data entity that's enabled for OData, then it's fairly easy to extract the data. Otherwise, we maybe have to develop our own entity or enable OData on the entity. So that requires a developer in D65 FO.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you so much, William.
So, handover. Jonas, we did implement it now, and you seem to be okay with the system. The users have accepted it. I think we can wing it and say we did it. Are you satisfied? And then I will move on to my next project.
Yes, this is exactly what I wanted. This makes this so much easier for me in my day-to-day work. I might even be able to sell this to my colleagues at work.
That's nice. Thank you, Jonas, and have a nice day.
Thank you. But now you have gotten me to think about something. So I have a bunch of project managers at work that complains that there's a lot of cost overrun. And now they have to open our ERP system to figure out the cost overrun and so on, and adjust activities manually, and it takes a huge amount of time for them. I wonder if we could build something clever for them using adaptive cards.
Yes, of course. So if I understand you correct, your requirements would be something like this. You would like to have a weekly project overview in a Teams group with a project name, project manager, project controller, maybe the remaining project budget, and the open activities. Is that something like that, Jonas?
Yeah, exactly. We're already using Teams for our project managers. We have a channel for each project. So this would be really easy for us to adapt to. Okay,
good. So let me try to now find the information that William will need. Jonas, we will come back to you with a suggestion, and I will look into the information needed. When I looked in the system now, I needed a little more than for the first entities. The trigger this time will be the recurrence. Jonas said he would like a weekly project overview, so maybe we could do it Monday, maybe Friday, or both days. Then we have the data entities. On the projects, we have a project data entity. We have the posted transactions where I did for this demo 2 categories, one with, or different categories. One of them was budget and then also with other categories. And then we have activities. One of my colleagues recently told me how much he loved to work with activities in Dynamics. So I thought, why not bring the activities in? And the target fields that we have here is then for the posted project transactions, we will look at the category ID and find the right one and find the total cost amount to see how much money we spent on the project. Then we have the project entity where we will find the project ID and name, and also the project manager and controller. For the activities, I found an activity number, and I found the due date, and also who is responsible. So let me move on and talk to William. What do you think, William? Could this be possible to do something like this?
Yeah, I think so. It will be possible, but it's a little more difficult because we have a lot more data entities now.
Yeah.
But I can show a tool that I use. So I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So Lone mentioned that I need to use the project's V2 entity. So Power BI has an inbuilt entity research report which is built on top of the Dynamics environment to see the entities. So I search for the project's V2 entity here, and then I can see it uses OData as screen. So that means I can use it in my flow. And also down here I can see all the fields that is on the entity. So this is a good way to get started working with the data. But I will just show you the flow here. So this is a little bit more complex flow, but you can see up here we have the recurrence. Every Monday and Friday at 10 o'clock it will send a team message to the users in the group. So here we fetch all the projects, and down here we have a filter where we filter on the project that Lone provided me for a demo and the data area ID here. And then we get the budget info as Lone provided me. And you can see here I have a condition where if the category was project budget, then it should be added to the planned budget. Otherwise it is used budget on the project. So that's how I calculate if it's used or planned budget. And down here I get the project controller because we wanted to get the full name of the employee instead of just the employee number. So it's a little bit prettier in Teams message. And the same with the project manager. And then we have the activities here. And this was a little bit more difficult because default on the activity entity, there wasn't a field that was related to the project. So Jonas developed something in Dynamics, a new field where I could select on the project ID. Maybe Jonas could explain a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So working with Dynamics as a developer is fairly easy. You have a lot of extension points, and one of the extension points you can make is to data entities. So together with William, we identified the data entity in finance and operations that needs the extension. Then we identified the relationship between the entity in question and the information we want. Then we built the relationship in the entity and dragged the field to the entity field definition. I think, William, did we spend like an hour to do this?
Yeah. I think the most time will be on deploying the code.
Yeah, so 15 minutes development, 45 minutes deployment.
Yeah.
So fairly simple.
Okay, perfect. But that's if I didn't have this field, I could not select on the activity that was related to the project. So we needed this. And then I loop through the activities here and get the responsible worker here, and here I also get the full name and not just only the employee number. And then we start to build the adapted card here. So as you can see here, I have a code block with the text and then the due date, and then I just format it to look pretty. And the same goes with the responsible array and the activity. And then we have another scenario where we want to open the project directly from Teams using a button, so the user can just go to it. And also Jonas made a new flow I can show here. Maybe you can explain that, Jonas.
Yeah, absolutely. So me and William had a look in the code for finance and operations, and we identified that Microsoft actually developed a new menu item fairly recently, where you can take an entity name and a virtual entity GUID identifier. So what we did essentially is that we exposed the project entity as a virtual table in Dataverse, so it's able to be used as if it's a normal Dataverse table. We selected the relevant record and we built the URL, so we're able to call this menu item Microsoft developed.
Yeah, so it requires the table to be a virtual entity, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you need to expose the table or the entity as a virtual table. And this is also fairly simple. There is a table in Dataverse where you need to set a check mark and it performs all the work in the backend. You don't need to do any kind of deployments or fairly complicated configurations. It's pretty much out of the box.
Perfect. I'll just go back to the flow here. So here we get the link that Jonas provided us, and then we post the adapter card in the channel. So here I chose the channel to post in instead of a chat with Flowbot as the other flows used. And then I have the team here and the specific channel. And then I have made some icons here to just make it look good. And here you can see I have the project name and then the project manager. And here we have the planned budget and use budget. And then I made a calculation here to get the remaining budget. So you can use function inside your adapter card in PowerFlow. And here's the interesting parts with the activities. So as you can see here, I have the output of my arrays. So I use the arrays in here and here to be shown in Teams. And that's because this is a part of the adapter card I have here. That's why it works. So I think that's basically, oh yeah. And here we have the link that Jonas provided us, so we can open in more detail. Maybe you could show that in Teams, Jonas?
Yeah, sure. I've already opened my my group for my project. Oh, I got a new message. Oh yeah, so I can see the project name, the manager, project controller, and most importantly, I have some emojis. My project manager loves emojis. And then I have the budget. That's also cool, and I can see all the activities and the responsible. Hey, I wonder why Julia has an activity. She should not be on this project. Let me just check in finance and operations. Oh, so it jumps directly to the project now. And I'm able to go to activities. As you know, I'm not really used to the new system, so I don't know how to find this. But at least it gives me the ability to quickly identify the project and then open the system and then enables me to do the changes I need to do.
Yeah, we would also be able to provide a link for each activity, so you could also open directly in Dynamics.
So I don't need to remember how to navigate to the activity. You could make a link so I can go directly to the activity and remove Julia from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Thanks so much, William.
Good. So now I think we showed, and I think Jonas, you seem to be pretty happy with the solution.
Oh, I am really, really happy with the solution.
That's good. That's nice to hear. I actually also think it's really good solutions. We get these requirements from customer often to get an overview of something, and instead of developing, this is a nice way to do it. And the fact that you can jump directly into the system or you can approve is really nice. So I think we can call this a done, Jonas. Let's move on to some of the real life use cases. William told you about that you could use approvals for vendor invoices. He already built that for a customer. It could also be sending an order confirmation directly to a customer. It could be on inventory management, showing some stock levels or something. Project management we saw a little on. And HR management is, I think, that I'm going back and trying to use some adaptive cards with. I already did it with one customer, but I want to try to build some onboarding process also. So basically, you can say the sky is the limit when you work with people like Jonas and William and with the adaptive cards. So Jonas, do you want to tell us a little about the best practices and the challenges that could be there?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is what I worked with William on is the availability of data. Not all data in F&O are exposed as entities. For example, the relationship between the project and its activities, and I had to kind of build it. But also, you are most often not able to get transactional data through these entities, such as inventory transactions or ledger transactions and so on. And I've seen many times where customers get this developed so to make an entity for inventory transactions. And it might work a week or month after go live, but a year after go live, you can see that every time they want to run a report, the system gets slow and they can barely post a sales order. I have actually had this once. The second one is translator. I had a discussion with Lone doing this project about our language. I work in finance, and there is a really good example of this. There is something called a counterparty. A counterparty, okay, what is this? This could actually be a customer. So there needs to be some kind of subject matter experts when you develop these kind of customer near solutions that are really close to customers. They might not think of it as systems. When you have governance, or when we think about governance, we have a terminology in IT that's called end user development. And now we are building possibly business critical flows. So there needs to be a discussion with the customer. Who owns this process? Who should be the owner of the cloud flow? Let's say I own the process and I get fired. There needs to be some kind of process in place. So please think of some kind of mitigation process. What happens if I get run over by a bus? What happens if Microsoft updates something in finance and operations? Who should amend the cloud flows? If a process changes, who should amend the cloud flow and so on? And then we have the licenses. This is a great way to use the licenses you already have. You might not know it, but when you invest in finance and operations, you get the availability to build apps in the same environments that finance and operations creates in Power Platform. If you own the license, have the license, why not use the license? Although there is kind of a but, this allows you to build cloud flows that might enable users without a license to perform actions in finance and operations. So you need to be really, really mindful that you're not performing actions that would otherwise require a license. Here, for example, I made some approvals. This might require an activity license. But let's say we create a flow that might create a sales order. Okay, then I need a supply chain license. So it's important when you do this, think of licenses. You will not be able to save money if you do it like this. Only development cost, not license cost. And then keep it simple, KISS. I'm not going to say it because it contains swear word and I'll get kicked out of this conference. But if you want to sell this to an organization, build something easy and simple first. Sell the value of the platform. Don't build big business applications using off the get-go. You will simply kind of show the business that if you use this technology, you will not save money, you will not save anything. It's just as expensive as if you did it in finance and operations. So try to build small things first, demonstrate the value, and then move on to more complicated apps. And these are kind of my reflections in this process. I don't know if it makes sense for you, Lone. You are muted, Lone. Sorry.
Sorry. This is actually also what we took as our key takeaways. Create simple examples. I am working, since we started talking about this, I have been internally at INEO working with different teams on this, and I figured out that the real challenge is that we have a Power Platform team, and then we have an ERP team, a finance team, and I need to try to translate between them, but creating simple examples makes them understand what we can actually do. And the finance team or the supply chain team will be the one who listens to the customers and know some kind of challenges or demands they have. So create some simple examples to show the value, and then go out there and build some of them. And if you want to know more, just reach out to one of us, Jonas, William, and me. We'll be happy to help you on the way. And before we move on to thanks our sponsors, does anyone have any questions related to Adaptive Cards, Power Platform, anything? No. Good. That means you must have explained well, William and Jonas. So thank you to Microsoft, Upsides, and FellowMind. Again, thank you to Alan, Anders, Martin, and Jens. And please fill out the survey if you want to win some swags. And just before we leave, we had so much fun doing this. So these are the ones that were not allowed to join the session.